Hello, welcome, beautiful souls. Today I am here to share with you a walkthrough and some Emily working with this deck. Hello to everyone. My name is Sadhana, and I am an intuitive reader and healer and lover of all things metaphysical. So welcome to the chat and to this review. If you're not familiar with this deck, it's been out for more than 10 years, and I had the pleasure of joining Emily Carding in a workshop last weekend, and we did lots of wonderful exercises with the tarot deck, and I have come to realize that it's been a true waste having this deck sitting on my shelf and not using it. So the version of the deck that I'll be working with today is the second edition of the tarot, and I'm just going to confirm with you the years of this deck. So the second edition came out in 2020, and the first edition came out 10 years before that. And the guidebook for the second edition has been fleshed out a little bit. There are a few more pages in this book at the beginning and at the end. I don't think too much of the middle content has been changed. And also the cards are a little bit different, first edition and second edition. And I don't have first edition to compare. So you'll be seeing what I have in the second edition. I have to say that I am thoroughly impressed in every way with this deck. The guidebook is fantastic. The concept behind the cards is fantastic. And I think this is potentially a wonderful deck for beginners to step into reading the tarot with. And perhaps having um, a Waite-Smith deck handy or another tarot deck handy. This is a wonderful supplement to give yourself permission and space and freedom to work with this deck. So let's turn to the cards now. My lighting, unfortunately, is not as great as I had hoped it would be. I wanted to do this in the daytime, not at night, and so I will be holding some of the cards up to the camera. And so my intention is to do a walkthrough as well. I would like to do towards the end to do a spread. Yeah. So in the major arcana, which I'm not presenting in order, the number for the major is down on the bottom border. Are some of them on? Yeah, some of them are on the top as well too. Okay. And I believe it is the Sun card that is the center of the deck. And so what I mean by that is that each of the cards in this deck is built upon the concept of standing upon another. So this, of course, is the transformation card, the 20th card, and this is the Sun card, which is slightly higher than halfway up. And this sets the base, the center for the alignment of all of the cards. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I have been working with the deck since the workshop, and just the limitless number of possibilities here. So what you're looking at here is the Sun card and the Judgment card on top of each other. So this is 11. This is Strength. These simplified symbols really give you an opportunity to speak to the pieces as they come together in a reading, but also to, I don't know, there's a gentleness, there's an innocence, there's a accessibility that may not be there in other tarot decks. Okay, so this is your number 3. your Empress card. This is the High Priestess layered upon that. And you can see some of her familiar symbols there, the crescent moon and the book. And this is the Emperor. And I'll hold it up for you so you can see. And it is absolutely essential that you work with this on a white cloth. This white cloth that I'm using here is the one that's included in the guidebook. Sorry, in the box. This is a Schiffer production. And so what you're looking there is layering of the Empress and the Emperor. So the third arcanum is in the foreground and the fourth arcanum is in the background. And not only that, but also you can see that we're going to have the possibility of reading top to bottom or bottom to top as well too. All right, so I was saying that the sun is the center of the layout for these cards. Welcome, Tamianne, Antoinette. I saw Shonda was here as well too. And then here's the moon layered upon the sun. And then there is the moon on its own. I have seen this deck used a couple of times or had seen it used a few times. And initially when I went to purchase it, it was out of print. And so when the second edition came out, I purchased it. But I didn't start working with it. It was sitting in my cupboard. And it was Jonathan Daly, that got me to go to the workshop. Hi, Shonda. And this was so very, very valuable. And I'm hoping, I don't want to give away the content of the workshop because I'm sure Emily will offer it again, but I want to share with you my enthusiasm for the deck. So here you're looking at the Magician card on top of the moon. And as I mentioned, with the major arcana, the number of the major, you may not be able to see it. So the 1 is up here. It's either on the top or on the bottom of the card. And then here is the star card layered on top of the magician. And then there is the star. My cards are slightly bowed, and I noticed that Emily's were as well too in the workshop. And one of the complaints from the first edition was that there was a film on the cards, which required washing off with soap and water. And on the second edition, this is not my experience. The cards have shuffled really well. There is no film on the cards. That, of course, is the Chariot. This is the World card. And you can see that this is in that central layer. So sun on top of World. There's a few other that work within that circle. So this is the Devil card. So there you can see the Devil on top of the World. Devil on its own. Fool. So the Fool is, I'm very intrigued with this card. It has come up in one reading for me. Hi, Warrior Girl, so far. And you can see the white rose on the bottom and then the wing. So kind of really like it. And then here we have Justice in all of Emily's decks. So I'm also a great fan of Tarot of the She. And in both of her decks, Justice is 8 and Strength is 11. Here is the Lovers with a Lover. And there you can see the Tower on top of the Lover. There's the Tower. Magician and Tower. Here is another card that sits at the center. So that's the Wheel. And there is Temperance. So in Temperance, we have the Rainbow, the Cup, and the Sun. Hermit. Hermit. I think the simplicity, if you've been working with the tarot, these are going to be very, very easy to work with. If you're new, it will be. I'm just looking at the screen. Oh yeah, I'm just making sure that things are not flipped here. If you're new to the tarot, I think this might give you some confidence in reading. Now, notice, so for the Hierophant, the tree is set a little bit higher, so you have lots of opportunity with other cards for things to appear at the base of the tree. And then two other majors. This is the Hanged One, Hanged Man, and then Death is a Scythe. Okay. So I cannot tell you, and just wait, because we're going to do a couple of spreads. I wish I had these in order. Um, I'm going to try to pull a couple of numbers to the side so I can show you. Now, here's the Suit of Wands. And the way that you know your card is front facing. Now, it is also possible to read this deck with the cards flipped, as if you were reading from the back of the card. If the cards are upward facing, then the suit symbol is on the right. You can see the club there, or the wand on the right, and the numerical symbol is on the left. And there's your Six of Wands. And I think I'll pull out a few. So here is the Four of Wands on top of the Six. And Eight of Wands. Actually, that's a really good one. I'll put all the eights. I'm going to do the eights and the knights. I'll put them to the side. And you can see that all of these are appearing in different placements on the cards. So the possibilities for layers is absolutely limitless. I believe that was the page, right? So there's your Page of Wands. And there's your Three of Fire, which I really, really like. And I'm going to show you the guidebook in a little bit. I don't tend to give decks 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, because there's so many variables and it's so very, very personal the way that one works with a deck. But I have to say, the way that Emily has laid this out is truly remarkable. And the fact that, so here's something really interesting. Emily did not have a prototype of the cards when she wrote the guidebook. So in 2010 or 29 or whatever year it was, it might have been even been 2007, when this project all began. She had only envisioned the cards and was developing them on tracing paper. And it wasn't until 10 years later that, after she had lots of feedback from other people and Schiffer, when I had to do this, the okay for the second edition, that there's your ace. Really, really cool. That she knew this deck was working. And here you can see your queen and your king back to back. If you put them side by side. So if you put them, they're back to back if they are in order from left to right. And if they're from right to left, they're facing each other. So yeah, so just a second here. I'm going to pull out the ace. And well, I'm just going to do the knight, but it's disappeared. Okay, let's do the ace and the 8. I'm just going to go through the other suits really quickly. So here's the Suit of Pentacles. There's the King. And so what happens in these layers is that it looks, you're building connections among the cards. And these layers, hi Hirsch, these layers can happen in sequence. I just need to find the 8. Let me move these out of the way. So these layers can happen in a storyboard. As well as being stacked. So I've had some, so if you look at those two cards, it really looks as if the knight and the page are running towards one another. So Hirsch, you have this deck? Yeah, really, really something. Okay, so here are the rest. I'm gonna keep the just looking for the 8. There's the Queen. 6, there's the 8. Okay. And just a few from the other suits, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you've got all of the same number together. And if you have the guidebook, this illustration also shows up in the guidebook. And look at this 10 of Swords. So 10 of Swords is way over in the corner. And so it's just a little part of a bigger story. The other possibility with these cards, of course, is to line up the storyboard top to bottom as well, too. It may not be a storyboard that you do left to right. And I was talking about, so all of these ones are at the bottom. And if we were to take the Hierophant card and layer it on top, and of course you have the possibility of reversals with this deck as well too. And so the potential for readings are reversals, and then front to back, and then reversed front to back. So you have way more options with the various layers in this deck. Okay, 7. Quite like this card. I really like that Hierophant card, by the way. It's one of my favorite. There's your Queen of Swords with her wild ponytail in the window. Emily is a lovely person, by the way, if you haven't seen her interviewed or, yeah. She is an actress as well, too, if you're not aware. A very dynamic person. Okay, there's the 8. All right, and then just a few of the cup cards, and we'll get to the fun. So we have green. We have some green in the pentacles. Most of the color is in the major arcana. There's your 4. And for some reason, this card has shown up a lot for me. This is the Knight of Cups. Nine of Cups. 2. And this deck shuffles just like any old regular card. You can overhand shuffle it. You can riffle shuffle it. It's not particularly slippery or anything like that. I'm looking for my 8 of Cups. Oh, 10 of Cups. This is a really fun card. With that 10 of Cups, the way that it is in the bottom left corner. Bye, Aisha. Thanks for dropping in. There's just so much potential for how that is read. And if you just kind of imagine different figures and shapes overhead and how a story could be built, like I said, the possibilities are truly endless. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, and there is an illustration in the guidebook. Perhaps it's better done in the guidebook than on the table, but here's an example. So in the guidebook, there is an introduction for each of the numbers as well too. So not only do you have a description and an extensive divinatory meaning for each of the cards, but at the beginning of each section, you also have not just a few keywords, but you have, um, so that is an 8, right? That is 8 of cups, 8 of swords. Okay, this is not a great example. I want to show you in the book. I'm going to put the 4 aces on the table in a second. So in the beginning of each section, she has an illustration of the 4 fours or the 4 sevens. And so there's a bit of a play and a intention behind each of the cards. And the guidebook is laid out numerologically. So you don't go through, the cards are not introduced suit by suit. They are introduced number by number. There are your 4 tens. This is a great guidebook. It's a sewn binding, so it's not going to break. I did put the 4 aces to the side, so let's have a look at the 4 aces. There's your Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, and Ace of Wands. And here are the 4 aces. And look at this. This is really cool. To see 3 or 4 cards layered together creates this absolutely, it's like magic. We did a little bit of sigil work in the workshop, and I think this is definitely an it's something that is very unique to this deck because you can create these magnificent layers. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle the deck and lay out the cards in a spread, okay? Yes, it is a really beefy look. Now, can you see me? Just going to turn the camera down a little bit so you can see me shuffling cards. Yeah. It is a really, really fun deck to shuffle if you like to riffle shuffle. Yeah, and then overhand. I think overhand is a little more tricky, especially because there's a bit of a bow in the deck, so you just want to be mindful. Yeah. A couple more shuffles. And if anyone would like to post a question into the chat, I'd be happy to use your question as the example. Okay. All right. And if not, I'll just do a demo reading. One more shuffle. I struggle with overhand. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to overhand shuffle. Okay, I'm going to cut the cards. All right, so this is a reading for Hirsch, and Hirsch is asking, how will my move go? So what is the energy around Hirsch's move? That's all full support around Hirsch as we look into the energy of this question. Okay. All right, getting the cards. Oh, all right, probably not the card you want to see on top. Moving, never difficult, is it? All right. So I'm going to back up the camera a little bit. So this is the Tower card, which is not really a card you see for a move. There may very well be surprises. There may be some surprises here. So with this kind of energy arising for a move, I would double check the mover's contract, double check the dates on everything, and make sure everything is smooth. I can also read this as confirmation of. So I want to go above and below, and then we're going to do some layers, and we're going to go behind and ahead. I'm going to have to back off. Let's see here. Okay. So we're going to build some layers into this spread and see what sort of a story we can weave up overhead. That's good. I'm glad you take the bumps. Okay. So let's leave the energy of the lightning bolt in the center. And that lightning bolt is heading straight into like the crown chakra of the Knight of King, King of Cups. You know, it's funny. I wonder if there will be some, and not necessarily negative, but unexpected arisings in this move. And when I see the lightning bolt going into the crown of the King of Cups, I feel like, can I say that the move will have some sort of an emotional transformation? The move was absolutely necessary for you to move forward. I think regardless of what the motivation for this move was, this is going to take you to a much, much better place. All right, so we have Three of Swords ahead and Ten of Wands behind. Three of Swords ahead and Ten of Wands behind. This is really interesting because I've been doing some deep dives. Some of you are following the Polarcos Tarot deep dive that I'm doing. And one of the things in the Three of Swords I think we need to remember is that threes in general are about growth, they're about expansion. And the Three of Swords acknowledges the fact that there is a emotional release, an emotional process that is absolutely necessary in order to experience that growth. And so in the move, I think the card that is ahead, the Three of Swords, amplifies the fact that this move is part of a much bigger journey for you. And I love that the Ten of Wands is behind. What is overhead is the Eight, and so the Eight of Swords. What does this mean? What is binding you mentally? What is containing you mentally? your voice. Is your voice contained in any way? If we look at this whole process of King of Cups and uh, Tower and Eight of Swords, and we read it in a bottom to top direction or a top to bottom direction, I feel as if both the lower cards are a reminder that it is definitely time to let go of this frame of mind. I feel like there's also been an expectation of the present circumstances that hasn't been met. Okay. So I'm going to leave the lightning bolt in the center, I think, without, this is very spontaneous. I'm just kind of building a spread here. And I'm going to go above and below and left and right. And above and below and left and right. And we're going to look at each of these layers in relation to the transformation. Okay. So we have a really powerful combination over behind. We have a 5, a 9, and a 10. So you saw the 10 of Wands already. We have, we have the 10 of Wands. We have the 9 of Swords. So we have the 8 of Swords overhead, and we also have the 5 of Swords. So with this particular combination of cards behind this, and don't you often get this in a reading? You feel like the transformation, the lightning bolt, the idea of the tower has been building and building, and there's definitely an awareness. The tower is never a surprise, ever. And so while the cards on the left aren't in the suit of cups, there is always an emotional component to the experience of each and every one of these cards. And so I love that this transformation is um, built on a realization that I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be in chaos or in conflict. And so while this isn't necessarily easy, I'm going to pick up and I'm going to move forward. I love that we have the Six of Swords in the bottom, by the way. I think that's brilliant. Now I want to go over here because I know the Devil is always a challenging card for people. So I want to address that, address the uh, horizontal row here first. So in this layer that is ahead, um, the card that is on top is Four of Cups, and in the center is the Devil, and on the bottom is the Three of Swords. So we have uh, the Three of Swords pointing into the back of the Four of Cups. Here also, I am picking up on recurring issues, recurring patterns. And I feel like there's a very strong message here that you are going to be taking these patterns with you if you don't choose to make the change. And what I was saying with the Three of Swords, I think is so important, and that is the process of release and the process of letting go is so important. But also, what has kept you restricted, chained, confined, feeling less than optimal is the safety of um, the safety, the comfort of the status quo. And so it is up to you to break free of this, right? So there's something, I think this is kind of a kick-ass sort of reading. So it's reminding you, just changing house isn't going to make the difference. You are actually going to have to do something about it because your patterns will carry with you if you don't. All right, so we have the, right, let's go down here. So the Emperor is on top, and the Six of Swords is in the middle, and the King of Cups is on the bottom. And doesn't this just look like a journey to a new city, an emotional journey to a new city? The way that the robe of the King of Cups flows up into the boat, it's almost like that's like a, I don't know, a geyser or something. It's a potent emotional change of energy, and I love that this is down below. This is at the root of the change. You can also read the King of Cups as taking claiming your power and wanting to change, um, wanting what I would say here. So what I'm seeing is King of Cups energy, especially it's in a forward moving direction. This is you claiming your right for change. This has been at the root probably for some time. And then on top of that, we have um, a city, a new place, and the Six of Swords, which is a beautiful card of transformation. Okay. And then overhead, the Queen of Swords, um, I want to say, takes charge of that issue of you being feeling confined and being in your head. So I love that the Queen of Swords is on top. I would see the card that's on top perhaps as the most relevant. And sandwiched in between that, we have the Eight of, that's really interesting. So Eight of Pentacles is sandwiched between the two sword cards. I want to look at the art here. So there is an idea of stability and balance. I don't usually bring that into an Eight of Pentacles sort of reading. Um, I feel like there's so much strength in this eight. And one of the things that I want to say here, just a second. If you think about four and fours building on each other, four is a foundation. Yes, it can be a prison and all of that as well. Too. Also stability. And the eight as a double foundation is a the double form. And so there's a sense of rebuilding. Now, with these two swords cards here, I want to say that there's possibly a um, it's it's been there, and I was a nit listening till now. This is also a reclamation of your voice. And if you think about the combination of the Three of Swords, Eight of Swords, Nine of Swords, Eight of Swords, Six of Swords, this is has been a really challenging part of your life. And you have, this is, I want you to pat yourself on the back here. This is big work that you are doing. Okay. And very um, affirming cards overhead. I would say there's not a to understand that this transformation isn't easy, but this work that you are doing is so worth it, and you will find great comfort in this. Okay, so now I want to do something else here, which is really cool. Hmm. I did above and below, so I'm going to leave the central card on the bottom, and I'm going to pick up the cards in the order that I place them, above, below, and left and right. And I want you to have a look here at this. And on the camera, it's definitely not, I'm going to zoom in. And this is a lot of cards to lay. So this is 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 cards. But there is something kind of magical to sit with the whole reading in your hand and to look into the window of the cards and to see just what comes through for you. You may see something different than you haven't noticed before, and it's just really powerful. And there she is, right? She's taking charge of her life and on top of all of this. And it's like that ponytail is a flag for her moving forward. Mm, yeah. Okay, I just want to show you a couple more things in the guidebook if you're interested. My intention, there's also a workshop that's coming up for the Oracle deck, and I will be attending that next weekend. And the Oracle deck has a system. It has lots of unfamiliar symbols, and so definitely going to take this. Hi, Tarot Jackpot. Welcome. So, as I mentioned, this is a great reference book. It is sewn. So this is a book that the binding is not going to break. And to me, that is a really important part of a book, especially if um, you're working with a new deck and a new concept and a new system. You want the book to stay together. So the major arcana, you see there is a full description and lots of information for each of the cards. And as well, she has built in information about that particular card in layers. Yeah. So next Sunday, I'm going to attend the workshop with Emily, and then I will share the deck after that. Okay. And as I said, with the minors, you have a picture of all four fours together, some information about the fours, and then a lot of information about every single card. Um, Look at this one. This is the one when you see all the kings together, two of them reversed and two of them upright. That's kind of magical design. There's four knights. All right. At the back of the book, there are lots of examples about how to work with the deck. Um, really brilliant. And also, look, there's a storyboard with everything kind of lined up. So if you like that kind of reading where you're telling a story and you can lay these out left to right, it's really something. I am definitely going to make myself a larger white cloth for this purpose, just for this day. Uh, oh, and here, so let me zoom in. Here, she talks about, now this is the Oracle deck. She's got an Oracle card and a Tarot of the She card, and it looks like the Ace of Pentacles is showing up here. So in this section, she's talking about using the transparent cards with other decks. And I'm going to give you an example right now. I'm just going to show you another deck. I've got a Waite-Smith deck right here, so we'll do that. Yeah, it's not a good, maybe. It's fairly light. Okay. So here is the Page of Swords in Pixie's deck. I don't know if you can imagine what this looks like in person, but you don't really have. Isn't that interesting? Wow, look at this. So that is the Three of Swords down in the bottom left corner of the Page of Swords. Okay, let's do another one. Nine of Pentacles. I think that's a very apropos card for the Nine of Pentacles. So there is the Devil card on top. Mm. I love the major arcana. Oh my God, it's just so stunning. There's the Magician on top of her. So this is really, really something. And I am so glad that I took the workshop. And I will continue to share this deck on my channel. I can't say enough about it. And I've done so this workshop I did was last Thursday. And so it's still, even though I've had this deck for a while, it's still very new to me, but it's definitely worth the, I would want to say, like, um, it's great. It's really, really great. And it's going to also, if you struggle with getting words out, one of the things I say when I'm teaching tarot, and I have a lot of different tarot courses, is I encourage students to not just write out their readings, but to vocalize their readings. It's one thing in your head or to write a few notes in your journal, but if you actually verbalize your readings, like you were doing a live reading, you recorded on your voice memo, it's a very different experience. And I think what we have in this particular deck, especially if you lay things out in a storyboard, is you can read it like a story, or build that on top of each other. So there's a lot of gifts I think that this deck offers, and I am really excited to continue working with it for myself and hopefully in the near future with clients as well too. Okay, so thank you for being here today, and I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow. I'll be back with part 2 of cracking in a new deck. Okay, thanks very much. Namaste.